Good morning, dear cadets. Yesterday we have discussed some of the numerical problems on motion of center of mass, and finally we discussed about the momentum of the system of n particles, and then conservation of momentum of system of n particles. Law of conservation of linear momentum of system of n particles. So, in an isolated system, when there is no external force acting on the system, then the total momentum of the system of particles remains constant. Center of mass of the system of particles moves with uniform velocity. It moves with constant velocity along a straight line. This is the meaning of conservation of linear momentum for a system of particles. It means when there is no external force acting on a system of particles, then the total momentum of the system of particles remain conserved. But you see, even though external forces are not acting, even though there is no external force, internal force do exist, as I said. These internal force, they cancel each other. The net internal force acting inside the system of n particles becomes zero. But the trajectory of the particles will be complex. I gave you example of a projectile undergoing a blast in the air. Before undergoing the blast, it perfectly undergoes a projectile path, a trajectory of parabola. The moment it undergoes blast, then you will find the sparks symmetrically distributed in all the directions. Then one point of that projectile continues with that parabolic path. That point is center of mass. Okay, fine. There only external force that was acting was the gravitational force. Due to the internal forces, the blast takes place. Explosion takes place. When the explosion takes place, the particles are spread out in all possible directions. They will have a different trajectory. But when you calculate the net force, F12 is equal to minus of F21, F31 is equal to minus of F31, F31 is equal to minus of F13, F24 is equal to minus of F42. So net force becomes 0. In this case, total momentum of the system becomes constant. Total momentum before the blast must be equal to total momentum after blast. Now let us see one interesting example of conservation of linear momentum of the system of particles, wherein the center of mass continues to move with a uniform velocity along a straight line without any disturbance. For example, disintegration of radon. Disintegration of radium. Radium is a radioactive nuclide. Nucleus into radon and alpha particle. Alpha particle is nothing but helium nucleus. Alpha particle is nothing but helium nucleus. This process is called as radioactivity. You are learning in chemistry. 11th class itself you are learning in chemistry. What is radioactivity? Right? So disintegration of a highly unstable nucleus into fragments on its own spontaneously is called as radioactivity. What happens in the radioactivity? We are realizing this conservation of linear momentum. Suppose this is a radium nucleus. This is a radium nucleus traveling with some uniform speed, uniform velocity. Think that there is no external force acting on it, not even gravitational force. So this is in an isolated system. When it is moving with uniform velocity, means when no force acts on any body, according to Newton's first law, the body continues to move with uniform speed along a straight line, uniform velocity, right? Now, at some time, this radium splits into two parts. One into radon. This is a bigger one, this is a little smaller one, this is radon. Another one, helium nucleus. Helium nucleus, He plus. This is radon. This is radon, and this is helium nucleus. It is also called as alpha particle. Yes, I have written here. Now, what happens during this split? We are thinking about the center of mass. The center of mass of these split particles, if you join these lines of the centers of these nuclei, the center of mass will remain the same. It will not change its position. It continues to move with whatever the uniform velocity it was having earlier. So the center of mass of these two particle systems now after disintegration continues to move with uniform velocity. This is according to law of conservation of momentum. Before disintegration, what is the total momentum? Before disintegration, total momentum of radium is say mv. After disintegration, see here, it will be having two particles now. One will be p1 vector, another will be p2 vector. So these are the momentum vectors, because now this is the initial vector. This is splitting into two parts. Therefore, p vector now becomes equal to p1 plus p2 vector. p1 vector plus p2 vector, where p vector is the momentum of linear momentum of radium. You can also say that it is the center of mass of radium, right? Center of mass of radium nucleus. After disintegration, it splits into two particles such that the momentum of these particles p1 plus p2 must be equal to p. This is according to law of conservation of momentum. Then what we need to see here is about the position of center of mass. If you calculate the position of center of mass of these two nuclei, it will be exactly along the same line along which initially the radium was in motion. So, center of mass continues along straight, continues to move along straight line. Linearly, it continues to move along the straight line path with constant speed, constant velocity, or same sentiment. Center of mass possesses uniform velocity. Next moment, this particle will be somewhere here and this particle will be somewhere here. See here, naturally radium is being heavier nucleus, it will travel with a lower velocity, and helium being a lighter nucleus, it travels with a higher velocity. So splitting takes place. These are the trajectories. As long as they are in motion, the center of mass will be always along this line. That is the meaning of this discussion. The center of mass will be this. Next moment it will be somewhere here, and this will be somewhere here. So if you join the lines of the centers of these two, join the lines of the centers of these two. If you join the lines, you see exactly it will be in the same straight line path. This is the meaning of application of conservation of linear momentum for a particle undergoing radioactivity, particle undergoing disintegration. Radium splitting into radon and helium nucleus. The radon moves in one direction, helium moves in another direction, such that during the paths of their trajectory, the center of mass of those two particles continue to move along the same straight line path with uniform velocity. Let them go at any position. The center of mass continues to be the same position. That is the meaning of this. Now next one is about another system of particles. It is called binary stars. In astronomy, you are learning binary stars, double stars are quite common. It's quite common feature. If it is observed with the high resolution telescopes, you will find a system of two stars together. What is a binary stars? This is second example. Binary stars. In simple term, I can write double stars. What do you mean by binary stars? Two stars together. They will be always existing as a pair of stars. Then how do they exist? They exist such that they will have a common center of mass. They revolve around the common center of mass. Here, how do you say that they revolve around the common center of mass? There we apply this conservation of linear momentum. Assume that there is a pair of stars, double stars, binary stars, where there is no external force. When there is no external force acting on such a pair of stars, then the linear momentum of such a binary stars must be conserved. Linear momentum of these binary stars must be conserved means if these binary stars are moving together, then the center of mass of these two binary stars must be moving along a straight line with uniform velocity. That is the meaning of binary stars. Let me say that when there is no external force acting on it, suppose this is one star S1 and this is another star S2. These are the stars. These are the stars which are revolving around a common center of mass. Suppose this is the line joining these two stars, and here is the common center of mass of these two stars. When they revolve around each other, it happens such that the center of mass moves along a straight line path with uniform velocity. Suppose this is moving, it is undergoing a linear velocity in this way, but it is revolving around this center of mass. When it revolves around the center of mass, you see, it will be having a path like this. So it is undergoing rotational motion, revolutionary motion around the center of mass. But when there is no external force acting on it, suppose these two stars together moving along a straight line with uniform velocity. You know, by Newton's first law, when no external force acts on a system of particles, you know, the system of particles move with constant uniform velocity. So that's what we are applying now. So if this star is moving like this, then how will be the motion of this second star? The motion of second star will be in the opposite sense. So you can just draw it like this. So it will be undergoing in the opposite sense. You see, when this star comes over here, if this is S1, then position of S2 will be exactly here. Position of S2 will be exactly here. So I can show it by another path. So yes, I have to take previous reference trajectory. So the position of the second star will be exactly over here, so that the center of mass of these two will be again at the same position along the same straight line. Next it will be here. Next it will be here. Like this it continues. So the dotted line is the trajectory of S2. This is the trajectory of S2, and the bold line which I have drawn is the trajectory of S1. S1 when it is revolving like this, you see, S2 will be undergoing a trajectory of this nature such that when S1 is at this position, S2 should be exactly diametrically opposite. When S2 is here, S1 should be diametrically opposite here. So, at any position if you calculate, they will be always diametrically opposite. When they are diametrically opposite, you see, when you calculate the center of mass of the position of these two stars will be same. It will be at the same position. So, center of mass continues to move with uniform velocity. Continues to move with uniform velocity. This is the example of binary stars. So what is a binary star? Binary stars are the stars having common center of mass. A pair of stars which revolve around a common center of mass. A pair of stars which revolve around the common center of mass are termed as binary stars, right? So this is the case when both the binary stars are moving with uniform velocity. So this is with respect to the frame of reference of these two stars. With respect to frame of reference of these two stars, the center of mass continues to move with uniform velocity. With respect to the frame of reference of the center of mass, how do they look? If this is the center of mass, think that the center of mass is at rest. If the center of mass is at rest, then what happens? One star S1 will be here and another star S2 will be exactly in the diametrically opposite position. Exactly in the diametrically opposite position. If the star S1 is revolving like this, then star S2 will be revolving like this. So they continue to move, continue to revolve around each other with common center of mass. So here in this case, with respect to the frame of reference of center of mass now appears to be at rest. So this is also possible. Let us assume that if center of mass is at rest, then these S1 and S2 are revolving around this common center of mass exactly in a circular path. So this is the discussion of the binary stars. So we can write what is binary stars. Binary stars are the two stars revolving around common center of mass. Around their common center of mass. So if it is in the uniform, if the binary stars are in uniform motion, then center of mass moves with uniform motion. When the binary stars are revolving around it, they are revolving always completely around the center of mass. If the center of mass appears to be at rest, then they will be continuously seen with circular motion. So here in addition with circular motion, they are undergoing translational motion also. So that's how it is leading to conclusion that the center of mass continues with uniform velocity. So one more thing I forgot there in the previous example. in the previous example, if the radium is at rest, if the radium is in uniform motion, then after disintegration, the radon and helium nuclei, they split into two parts and as fragments, and they will possess their own momentum as P1 vector and P2 vector. They will disintegrate in different trajectories, in different directions, right? Such that they will continue to have common center of mass moving with uniform velocity. If in case radium is at rest, then what will be the situation? The same thing I will draw here. If radium is at rest, then see here I am drawing, this is a radium center of mass at rest. Then it will split after disintegration such that the particles move back to back. See here, this is a helium, this is helium, and down you will find radon. Rn is the symbol of radon. Rn is the symbol of radon. Here I think I have committed a mistake. You can please correct it. Radon. So look here, I will draw it here itself so that it will be convenient to understand. It is not radium, it is radon. This is radon, this is radium, and this is helium. Suppose this is at rest. Radium is at rest. Then, after disintegration, this will be the trajectory of helium, and this will be the trajectory of radon. Trajectory of Rn, radon. So, radon will be heavy nucleus compared to helium. So helium moves with a higher velocity, higher momentum, and radon moves with lower velocity and lower momentum, such that the center of mass always remains the same. Center of mass will be at rest. Center of mass continues to be in the state of rest. So same thing we have discussed in the case of the binary stars. So when the binary stars are observed, they will have a common center of mass. They revolve around the common center of mass. But when the center of mass itself is in the uniform velocity, they will not only undergo the circular revolutionary motion, they will also undergo the translation motion, such that the center of mass continues to move with uniform velocity. Whereas in the case of first example, radium, when it split into two parts, two fragments after disintegration, they will have different momenta, P1 and P2, such that the center of mass of these two particles continue to move with uniform velocity. If it is at rest, then if it is at rest, see here, radium center of mass is shown as at rest position. Then one particle moves upwards, another particle moves downwards. The particles fly back to back. In this case, the particles fly back to back. Back to back. This is to show the conservation of momentum. The linear momentum of the system of particles is conserved. So I think you got the point. In the next session, we will discuss about the vector product. We have discussed already about the scalar product. In the next session, we will discuss about vector product of two given vectors. Vector product of two given vectors results into a third vector. That's why this product is called as vector product. Whereas in the case of scalar product, if you remember, the scalar product of two vectors always results into scalar quantity. Work done as a scalar product of force and displacement. Work done as a scalar product of force and displacement. The product gave you work done which is a scalar quantity. Therefore, that product is called as scalar product. vector f dot vector d equal to f d cos theta. That is the scalar product. Now we are learning a new concept, vector product and its applications in the rotational motion. Right? Vector product of two vectors gives you the result. The result is going to be the vector quantity. Therefore, it is called as vector product. That we will learn in the next video. Thank you. Have a nice day.